Yeah, right. So this is Act 5, Scene 7. I'll like zoom it in. And yes, Act 5, Scene 7, before the castle of Macbeth. Before Macbeth's castle, trumpets sound as the two armies clash, enter Macbeth. Okay, so like I told you, that now the war was full-fledged on, right? Now there was no backing out, now there was no going away or going back. Now the two armies were facing each other, okay, and they were ready to clash. And they're already near Dunsinane, near the castle. Okay. And now Macbeth, here he says, when he opens the scene, he says that they have tied me to a stake. I cannot fly. You remember at that juncture where that messenger comes and informs Macbeth that, I saw Burnham Wood marching towards Dunsinane Hill. Within a distance of 3 miles, you can see that Burnham Wood is already marching towards Dunsinane Hill. Macbeth changes his war strategy. What was his initial war strategy? To remain within the castle, okay, to fortify the castle walls and to remain inside. And he's going to let the enemy army wait outside till they get killed by famine and ague. Okay, this was his initial strategy. But when he receives that news from the messenger that now the Burnham Wood is marching towards Dunsinane Hill, one of his hopes gets shattered. Yes, Lakshya.
Ma'am, how will he fortify his castle? Like,
Fortify, as in, he's going to make it, he's going to maybe build the walls stronger, or he's going to extend his army out there. Okay, he's going to deploy some of the soldiers to be there. Right, that is how they used to do it. Okay, so he had put like all his armies and he's going to fortify the castle wall. This is what he had already decided initially, right? And that was his plan, that I'm gonna wait. He also says, if you remember, that there is this one line, that the strength of my castle, he's very confident that his castle is very strong, right? And the walls are very strong. So here he makes up a decision that, okay, my castle, when they approach near my castle, the strength of my castle is going to mock their army, is going to mock their siege, mock their attack. Okay, so that is something he's extremely confident of. But yes, he's not prepared to face them. Okay, he also says, if you remember, that if my thanes had not abandoned me, if my Thanes had not switched sides, I would have faced them beard to beard. Okay, that is the sole reason. Have you understood, Lakshya?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. So towards the end of that, he also decides that now I'm going to change my strategy, because one of his hopes has already got shattered, right? One of his hopes was that I will never get vanquished, I will never get defeated till Burnham Wood marches towards Dunsinane Hill. But when the messenger comes with that news that I can really see Burnham Wood marching towards Dunsinane Hill, he says that, my confidence is going down, and he says, I have no other option. I can neither stay over here nor can I run away from here. The only option for him left right now is to get out and face the enemy, right? So that is why here he is reiterating his point. He is repeating his point here in the very first line. He says, they have tied me to a stake. Stake means a wooden post, okay? And tied me to a stake means that they have captivated me. But here he is not talking about the real captivating, किसी को बंदी बनाना. Okay, so he says that he is talking about it metaphorically. Now, when I say metaphorically, that means that he has not really been tied to a pole. Nobody can do that right now. Okay, so he is just saying that they have tied me to a pole. I can neither run away from here nor stay. Okay, the only option for me left right now is to face them. Okay, I cannot fly. I cannot fly means I cannot run away right now. He means to say my hands are tied, right? Really mein nahi hai tied. He is just metaphorically talking about it, symbolically talking about it. Okay, that my hands are tied and I cannot run away from here. But bear like, I must fight the course. Now, why is this reference of bear given over here? So I must tell you, like, whatever research work I could do with this word bear. So this word bear here refers to the fact that during that time in the Shakespearean, when Shakespeare wrote this play, so one of the famous methods of entertainment, like people used to use this method as one of the sources of their entertainment, that they literally used to tie a bear, okay, bear bhalu, to a wooden post, usko band dete the, and then they would allow other animals to come and devour and come and kind of annoy the bear, or maybe injure the bear, or maybe wound the bear. And that bear would try his best to fight those animals. Okay, a bear is very strong, very ferocious. Okay, so that is why, that was used as one of the methods for entertainment for the people. That is why Macbeth is comparing himself to that bear. He says that they have tied me to a wooden post like a bear, and I am going to face my enemies like a bear. Okay, like I am going to face them very strongly and very ferociously with all my might, with all my strength. Okay, I must fight the course. What's he that was not born of a woman? Such a one am I to fear or none. So he says, where is that person who was not born of a woman? Right? Only that person who was not born of a woman, that I will be scared of. Otherwise, I will not be scared of anyone. Okay, I repeat, what's he? What's he means, where is that person who was not born of a woman? मेरी लड़ाई सिर्फ उसके साथ है. Okay, otherwise rest of the people, they are not a perfect match for me. This is what he wants to say. Okay, now enter young Seward. Young Seward ka ye debut scene hai. This is his debut fight also. He is very young at this point of time, maybe just a teenager. Okay, and this was his first fight, this was his first battle. And this probably is his, this is the first time that we are also meeting young Seward. And young Seward, as soon as he comes, uska bad luck tha that he faces Macbeth and he gets killed. Okay, so enter young Seward. What is thy name, young Seward? Macbeth, thou will be afraid to hear it. So Macbeth says, if I tell you my name, you are going to be scared to hear my name. Young Seward, know though thou callest thyself a hotter name than any is in hell. So he says, even if you name yourself to be anybody more scarier than anybody in hell, okay, अगर hell से भी ज्यादा किसी demonic power का नाम तुम लोगे, I will not be scared of you. Okay, so he says, even if you are somebody who is more dangerous than anybody present in hell, I will not be scared of you, he says. Macbeth, my name is Macbeth. Now he discloses his name. And look at young Seward's reaction. Instead of getting scared, I already told you that he's a very young fellow. Okay, that he's somebody who's very, this is his first battle, so he must be very young. But instead of getting scared of that name, because he knows that Macbeth is his prime enemy, he's supposed to be very brave and very courageous. Instead of getting scared, he's facing him boldly. Okay, which talks a lot about his bloodline also, because wo kiska beta tha? He was the son of Seward. And you know what was said about Seward? That Seward was regarded as the most powerful warrior in the entire Christendom. He was his son. Okay, so that was somewhere in the genes also. So young Seward, the devil himself could not pronounce a title more hateful to my ear. So he says, even the devil cannot pronounce any other name more hateful than this name. He says, this is the most hateful name in the world. Macbeth, no, nor more fearful. So he says, this name might be most hateful, but it is also the most fearful name that people are scared of. Young Seward, thou liest, abhorred tyrant. So he says, no, you are lying. Abhorred tyrant. Abhorred means hated. Okay, you are somebody who is not loved by anybody. You are hated. Tyrant, to hame pata hai that, okay, what tyrant? Who is regarded as a tyrant here? With my sword, I will prove the lie thou speakest. He says, if I attack you with my sword right now, I will prove that you are a liar. Okay. They fight, and young Seward is slain. They begin fighting over there. And as I told you, कि जैसे ही लड़ना शुरू करते हैं, young Seward is killed. उसका बैड लक समझ लो. एक तो बेचारे का फर्स्ट बैटल था. दूसरा, whenever as soon as he comes over there, he has to face Macbeth. Okay, so he gets killed. Macbeth, he kind of is making fun of young Seward right now, and he says, thou was born of woman. So he says, you definitely was, you were born of a woman because you got killed by me. But swords I smile at, weapons laugh to scorn, brandished by a man that's of a woman born. So he says, anybody who was born of a woman, right? I will not be scared of any weapon that person might carry, right? If that person is bearing any sword, if that person is bearing any other weapon, I would just laugh at those weapons, because ultimately that person is born of a woman. And anybody who is born of a woman is just a joke for me, he says. Okay, so I will not be scared of any weapon if you come in, by if you take and come in front of me, I will not be scared of you. So he kind of laughs at young Seward. Macbeth exits, trumpets sound to call to alarms. Arms, sorry. Macduff enters, fighting in the distance. Now, here at this point of time, some students they get confused कि मैम मैकडफ भी तो वहीं पर ही है, then why can't Macduff see Macbeth? The point is that although Macduff has been mentioned in the scene, but here in scene 7 ये confrontation scene नहीं है. You have to remember this. This is not the final confrontation between Macbeth and Macduff. Although Macduff has been mentioned, but right now he cannot see Macbeth. उसको दूर से दिखाई दे रहा है that at some point of time there is a lot of clamor, there's a lot of crowd, there's a lot of sound. Okay, brandished. Okay, Mitali, brandished means whole. Sorry, if a particular soldier is holding a particular weapon, that is called as brandished. Okay. For example, if I just come to a battlefield, if I hold a sword and if I wave that sword like this, that will be called as brandishing, right? So here, like I told you, that ये confrontation scene नहीं है. The confrontation scene is where they are finally coming face to face, okay, and they are facing each other. That is a scene where they will be fighting each other. But scene 7 mein, like I told you, Macduff can only see that at one side of the battlefield there's a lot of crowd, there's a lot of sound which is coming from, there's a lot of confusion. So he guesses कि Macbeth यहीं पर ही होगा, okay, because he says from this direction there's a lot of sound which is coming, there's a lot of confusion which is ensuing, okay, there's a lot of clamor, there's a lot of madness. So he says Macbeth must be here. So he proceeds towards that direction. Okay, are you getting my point? So now let's proceed. Macduff, that way the noise is, like I told you, अभी उसने मैकबेथ को देखा नहीं है, he is only guessing कि यही होगा. Okay, that way the noise is. Tyrant, show thy face. He says, Tyrant, I know you are there. Show me your face. If thou be slain and with no stroke of mine, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. Very important. This question is there in one of the competency based questions with many of the students, which many of the students were not able to answer. He says, if you are killed, किससे बात कर रहा है? Imagination में बात कर रहा है अपना. किससे बात कर रहा है? He's talking to Macbeth in his imagination. He says, Tyrant, if you get killed, and if you get killed by somebody else and not by me, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. Okay, and the question was, what did Macduff say will happen if Macbeth gets killed by somebody else and not by him? Okay, so the answer to this question was that he says that if Macbeth gets killed by somebody else and not by him, then his wife's and children's ghosts are going to haunt him forever, for throughout his life. This is the answer. Okay, I cannot strike at wretched kerns whose arms are higher to bear their staves. Okay, so he says, all these rest of the soldiers fighting over here, these rest of the people fighting over here, he says, I am not meant for them. These are just wretched kerns for me. Wretched kerns means weak soldiers. They are not perfect match for me. I am here to kill the tyrant, Macbeth. Okay, so he says, I cannot strike. Strike means I cannot attack at wretched kerns. Wretched kerns means weak soldiers whose arms are higher to bear their staves. He says they are bearing their weapons. Staves means weapons. They are bearing their swords just because they have been hired by Macbeth. Okay, they are not fighting this battle out of their heart. They are not fighting this battle because they have a cause to fight it. Cause किसके पास है? Macbeth के पास है. Who has the cause to fight the battle? Macduff has the cause to fight the battle. So he says, I'm not going to fight these weak soldiers because they have been hired by you. Okay, I want to face you, right? Either thou, Macbeth, or else my sword with an unbattered edge I sheath again undeeded. Okay, so he says that either I'm going to face you, या तो तुम्हें face करूंगा, or my sword with a blunt edge. Blunt edge means, with something which is not sharp, right? My sword with the blunt edge is going to go back again to its sheath. Sheath means cover, right? I repeat this line. This can be slightly difficult for you to understand. So he says either मैकबेथ से रियली बात नहीं कर रहा है. वाई स्टूडेंट्स दे गेट कंफ्यूज कि मैम मैकबेथ से बात कर रहा है बट वेयर इज मैकबेथ. मैकबेथ से बात कर रहा है ओनली इन हिज इमेजिनेशन. ओके, ही इज जस्ट गेसिंग कि वहीं पर ही होगा. एंड देन ही इज टॉकिंग टू हिम इन हिज इमेजिनेशन दैट मैकबेथ, if you get killed by somebody else, first of all he says my wife's and children's ghosts are going to haunt me. Okay, and he says these weak soldiers are not for me to fight because they have been hired by you. okay, and they are bearing their weapons, they are brandishing their swords because they have been hired by you, they have been commanded by you. And next thing he says that either I am going to fight you, Macbeth, or my sword with a blunt edge is going to go back to its cover. I will not use it. Okay. Then there thou shouldest be by this great clatter, one of greatest notes seems bruited. There thou shouldest be. He says, तुम्हें वही होना चाहिए. You should be there. Again, he's pointing to that direction. Okay, you should be there because I am getting the maximum sound from this direction. Okay, by this great clatter. Clatter means confusion. Clatter means sound. Clatter means turmoil. Right. One of greatest note. He says, from this sound, I can figure it out that some very important person is there. Okay, greatest note means important person. Seems bruited means seems to be present over there. Okay, let me find him fortune and more I beg not. He says he is praying to his luck, he's praying to his fortune, and he says I hope that I'm able to find him in that direction. Isse zyada I don't want anything else. Okay, he says my only wish, my only desire, my only want right now is to find this tyrant in that direction and let me have him, let me fight him. बाकियों से मेरा कोई लेना देना नहीं है. I don't want to fight them because they are very weak for me. They are just useless soldiers. He says my enemy is standing there. Okay, definitely standing there. Guess कर रहे. He must be there. Why he must be there? Reasoning based question में आ सकता है because there was a great clatter which was coming from that direction. There was a great sound, confusion, turmoil which was coming from the direction. So he says he must be there. And it seems that a very important person must be there. Okay. So he says, my fortune, let me find Macbeth in that direction. Isse zyada, I don't pray for anything else. Okay. Exit Macduff, trumpet sound, Malcolm and Seward enter. Now here is a good news. Okay, Seward comes with a good news. If you remember that Seward had decided that I am going to attack Macbeth's castle at Dunsinane, so here he comes with the good news that Macbeth's castle has surrendered. Okay, his enemies have gone weaker, right? His soldiers, sorry, Macbeth's soldiers have gone weaker, right? So he says, this way, my lord, the castle's gently rendered. Very important line. So he says, मैं जहां पर गया था, this way, the castle's gently rendered. Rendered means surrendered. The castle has already surrendered. My job is done, he says. Seward hai, obviously nobody can defeat him. Okay. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. Very important. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. Tyrant kaun hai? Macbeth. So he says, although his soldiers were fighting equally on both the sides. You remember that they had divided their contingent, they had divided their battalion into two groups. Okay, one group was being led by Seward and young Seward, and the other group was being led by Malcolm and Macduff. So Seward is giving just a report that both his, his soldiers were fighting on both sides. Okay, equally. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. Which thane is he talking about here? वही thane जिन्होंने मैकबेथ का साइड छोड़ दिया, and they have switched the sides. Okay, they have left Macbeth's army and they have joined hands with Malcolm. कौन थे ये? Menteith, Caithness, Ross, Lennox, Angus. Okay, five of them. So he says that his own thanes were fighting very bravely in the war. हमारे लिए fight कर रहे थे. Okay, the day almost itself profess yours and little is to do. So he says the day is already in your favor. Okay, the day has already come in your favor. We have almost won the battle. It's like half the job done. Okay, and little is to do. And अब करने के लिए ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. Very little to do. Malcolm, we have met with foes that strike beside us. Very very important line. Okay, इसके ऊपर question. I think they might as well give you a question. Malcolm says we have met with foes. Foes means enemies, right? That strike beside us. Enemies who are fighting for us. The question can come in the form like, who are these enemies? Who are these foes who are fighting for Malcolm and Macduff? These enemies are the same thanes who had deserted and abandoned Macbeth. Again, the same names at my fingertips. It should be at your fingertips as well. Menteith, Caithness, Ross, Lennox, Angus. Okay, these are the thanes who had deserted Macbeth. एक पूरा scene है इसमें where Shakespeare is very clearly telling you that they no longer want to serve Macbeth. They are deciding to switch now. पूरा debate चलता है उनका किसको serve करें. They are giving you points also. Okay, so this is what Malcolm is saying कि हमारा luck देखो. Look at our fortune. Our own enemies are fighting for us. Okay, people who were supposed to be our enemies, they're fighting for us and not against us. Okay, so that is why it was a good luck. Seward, enter sir the castle. Malcolm and Seward exit, more trumpets. Castle to ab unka hi ho gaya because they have already defeated the castle. The castle has surrendered. So Seward says, let us enter the castle. Macbeth. Now again, the scene switches. Now Macbeth is there in the scene. Why should I play the Roman fool and die? Roman fool and die. Yeah, I'd given this question somewhere. I think second pre-board examination, Cambrian student. So I had given this question that Macbeth says that I will not play the Roman fool by committing suicide because, okay, the reasoning based question. Macbeth अब Roman fool क्यों कह रहा है? Now he's saying that I will not commit suicide. Macbeth at this point of time comes to know कि उसका castle गया. Okay, and now his chances of winning the war are very minute and diminutive, like very small and tiny, right? So he says that I have one option. And what is that one option? To kill myself, commit suicide. But here he decides that no, 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 I'm not going to do it. Okay, I am not going to play the Roman fool. Why is he saying Roman fool? Because there were many Romans in the past who had committed suicide. Julius Caesar, जो 9th and 10th में book लगी है इस बार, the main characters in the play, to talk about Brutus, Cato, Cassius, they all had committed Titinius. They all had committed suicide. Okay, जब उनको लगा कि हम लोग नहीं जीत पाएंगे, right? They they just think to themselves कि if we get defeated, we will be taken as captives and we will be treated as slaves. People will laugh at us. So he says they believe that that will not be acceptable for us. तो इससे अच्छा तो let us commit suicide, right? So there were so many Roman warriors and very famous, very honorable noble men committed suicide initially, right? In the past. So Macbeth says, I am not going to be like them. I am not going to play the Roman fool because they all were foolish people who committed suicide. I am not going to play their role and I am not going to commit suicide, okay, and die on my own sword while I see lives. Okay, he says, I am not going to kill myself with my own sword because वो लोग जिन्होंने suicide किया था, they had killed themselves with their own sword. एनिमी के sword से नहीं मरे थे, किसी और के sword से नहीं मरे थे. They had killed themselves with their own sword. Okay, so he says that no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play the role of a foolish Roman and would kill myself with my own sword. I will not do it. Okay, the gashes do better upon them. So he says, sorry, while I see lives, till the time I see my enemies in front of me, मैं उनको I will hurt them, I will injure them, I will wound them, and I will not kill myself. Okay, ये रीजनिंग में मैंने दिया था, आई थिंक सो, दैट मैकबेथ डिसाइड्स टू नॉट कमिट सुइसाइड लाइक रोमन फूल्स बिकॉज. ओके, सो इसका आंसर क्या होगा? बिकॉज because those were foolish people who committed suicide upon their own sword, this Macbeth says. Okay, and he also says दूसरा आंसर क्या होगा? That till the time he sees his enemies alive, he is going to kill them and not himself, right? So this will be the answer for this question. Okay, now enter Macduff, right? Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I think this is scene 7 and scene 8 combined. Okay, let's just proceed. Yeah, no, this is scene 7. Yes. Okay, there was a slight confusion. This we have already done. That way the noise is. This we have already done. And this now, enter Sir the castle. This we have already done. I have no words. Yes. Okay. Now enter Macduff. Macduff, turn, Hellhound, turn. Okay. Yeah, this is scene 7 and scene 8 combined. Is it there in your books also? Can anybody please confirm?
Mm.
Yeah.
In your website, it's combined,
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
but
This
in the book, it's
in the book it should be separate. Yes, 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 yes.
yes.
Yeah, this
From
is
Act speech, it's Act 5, Scene 8.
definitely, definitely this is combined. That is why I was getting a little muddled up over here. Yeah. यहाँ से आपका scene 8 starts. Okay, so from where Macbeth says that I'm not going to play the Roman fool and die on my own sword. तो इसके ऊपर पूरा एक question आ सकता है, a reasoning based question which I've already discussed. Okay, now let's just move towards Macduff part. Macduff was right in his assessment. Okay, उसने क्या assess किया था, that Macbeth must be here in this direction. Why? Because maximum noise is coming from this direction. Okay, and now he was right. Okay, Macbeth was there. And as soon as he witnesses Macbeth, he says, turn, 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 hellhound. Hellhound means you dog from hell. You better turn. Your enemy is standing right here. Okay, Macbeth. Acha, ab aa jao isme. This is a very important dialogue. He says, of all men else, I have avoided thee, but get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. He says, Macbeth says, of all my enemies, of all the people, I have only avoided you. Okay? Why? The reason is, he says, get thee back. Get thee back means I don't want to fight you. Okay? Why? Because my soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. He says, my soul is too much overburdened with a lot of blood of your family. Okay? Kiski baat kar raha? He's talking about Lady Macduff. He's talking about his children. He's talking about his entire bloodline. Okay, he says, my soul is too much charged. Charged means burdened with a lot of blood of your family. एक और को नहीं मारना चाहता. I don't want to kill one more from the same family. He says, so please get back. He says, don't confront me right now. Okay. So Macduff, I have, yeah, Lakshya.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
the witches also warned him for Macduff. So,
Yes, 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 yes. That is why he's saying over here. So, if this question, that's a very good point. If this question comes in the examination that Macbeth does not want to confront, he asks Macduff to get back. He does not want to confront him. You can give two reasons. The first reason is, which he's stating very clearly, because he does not want to overburden his soul with one more blood of the same family. Number one. Number two, because of the prophecy, he remembers the prophecy, the warning given by the witches, beware Macduff. Okay, जो bloody child आया था first apparition, उसने warn किया था that you have to beware Macduff. So that is why he's saying कि पूरे लोगों में से I was only trying to avoid you. Okay, because that was a warning which he had received, like a caution. Okay, Macduff, I have no words. My voice is in my sword. Macduff says, मैं आया ही नहीं हूँ यहाँ पर बात करने तुमसे. He says, my voice is in my sword. I am going to answer your queries with my sword. I am not here to hold any conversation with you, he says. Up to sword se sword. Okay, thou bloodier villain than terms can give thee out. So he says, you are a bloodier villain than my words can ever describe. He says, you are itna bloody, you are itna disgusting, you are itna hateful that my words will never be able to describe. What will be able to describe? My sword. Okay, so he says, I am going to answer you with my sword. Okay, they fight Macbeth. अच्छा, यहां तक मैकबेथ को अभी तक नहीं पता है that he was unnaturally born of a woman. Okay, so Macbeth is still very confident कि चलो आ जाओ लड़ लो. Okay, because you must be born of a woman, I will be able to kill you, right? But now he receives the shock of his life, right? Macbeth, thou losest labor, as easy mayst thou the intrenchant air. So he says, you're just wasting your energy. You're just wasting your labor. Losest labor, wasting energy. Okay. As easy mayst thou the intrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. He says, rather than making me bleed, instead of making me bleed, why don't you attack the air? Okay. Intrenchant air means why don't you go and attack and wound air, create incisions on the air with thy keen sword. Keen sword means sharp sword. Impress usko jaake. You can attack the air. You can create impressions on the air rather than making me bleed. Number one, let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. He says, let your sword, blade here refers to sword. Let your sword fall upon vulnerable crests. Vulnerable again means weak. Okay. Crests means soldiers. He says, your sword is made for weak soldiers. Why don't you go and attack them? Your sword is not made for me. पहले तो उसने क्या बोला? Oh, you're just wasting your energy. You're just wasting your labor. Number one. Number two, he says, instead of making me bleed with your sword, why don't you go and entrenchant the air? Entrenchant means you cut the air. Okay, with thy keen sword. Keen sword means sharp sword. Impress means create an impression upon it. Kisme air mein, jo ki kabhi possible hi nahi hai. He knows that very well. Okay, and then thirdly he says, let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. Let your sword fall upon weak soldiers. Okay, I bear a charmed life which must not yield to one of woman born. Look at his confidence. He says, oh, my life is charmed. Charmed means I've got a blessed life, right? Which must not yield, and I must not get killed to any of woman born. Okay, so here he's proudly proclaiming that you can't kill me, Macduff, because I don't have a normal life. I have a blessed life. I've been blessed that none of woman born will be able to kill me. अच्छा now Macduff का reaction देखो. Macduff is laughing at him. He says, despair thy charm. Despair thy charm means, you can be completely hopeless about that blessing. That blessing is good for nothing. It's futile. Okay, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. Okay, he says, whichever angel, whichever supernatural power has told you this, let that supernatural power also tell you one thing more. And what is that one thing more? That Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. Ye line ko learn kar lo. Okay, so he says Macduff definitely was born of a woman, right? But not naturally. He says, I was unnaturally born of a woman. Why? Because I was untimely. The complete gestation period of pregnancy is 9 months. So he says, I was delivered much before that. It was a preterm birth, natural birth nahi tha. Okay, and preterm birth, so obviously C-section. Okay, so he says, I was not born naturally from my mother's womb. I was born unnaturally. Why? Because I was untimely ripped. Ripped means taken out, okay, from my mother's womb. It was not a natural birth. Macbeth gets blown away. He says, accursed be that tongue that tells me so. Accursed be that tongue. Ma'am, these lines make Macbeth feel that he was tricked by witches. Definitely, yes. This makes him feel. अभी बोलेगा वो देखो juggling fiends. ये क्वेश्चन भी मैंने तुमको दिया था बोर्ड एग्जाम में प्री बोर्ड सॉरी बोर्ड कह रही हूँ pre-board examination mein, okay, I gave you this question. He says, accursed be that tongue. Accursed means I curse that tongue which is giving me this information right now. For it has cowed my better part of man. Cowed means it has taken away all my confidence. It has taken away all my hope. It has taken away all my strength. Okay. And be these juggling fiends be no more believed. Here, Rishit, he was feeling deceived. He was feeling betrayed by the witches. He says, these juggling fiends. Juggling का actual मतलब क्या होता है? Juggling आपने देखा होगा circus में जोकर 3-4 balls को लेके they juggle it in their hands, like they are trying to play with it, and that's very tricky. Okay, so he here is comparing this juggling to the juggling of the witches, and the witches were juggling with his mind. Okay, they were playing with his mind, right? So that is why he is giving them the word juggling fiends. Fiends means enemies, right? No more believed. Tricky enemies, no more believed. That polter with us in double sense. That deal with us in double sense. Okay, they try to sell you a lie by making it look like a truth. ओके, सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल द एडवर्टीजमेंट्स देख लो आज के. वो आपको ऐसे एडवर्टीजमेंट्स दिखाएंगे कि ओ दिस इज द प्रोडक्ट फॉर यू, दिस इज गोइंग टू डू यू ऑल द बेनिफिट, दिस इज द बेस्ट एंड दिस इज ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. बट ultimately it's nothing, it's just a marketing gimmick. Okay, so here also these witches were dealing with him in the same fashion. They were trying to tell him a lie by making it look like a truth. Okay, so that they can gain his confidence, so that they can gain him into their power, right? That is why he says, let these juggling fiends no more believed. I am not going to believe them anymore. That polter means that deal with us in double sense. झूठ बोलते हैं उसको सच बताकर, ओके, सच जैसा दिखाकर, ओके, दैट कीप द वर्ड ऑफ प्रॉमिस टू आवर ईयर and break it to our hope. So he says that first of all, they promise us something, they make our hopes higher just to break it, just to shatter it. हमसे कुछ promise किया, then they give us a lot of hope. They make that hope look very high till the time they shatter it, they destroy it. He says, I will not fight with thee. ये दूसरी बार है जब मैकबेथ मना कर रहा है, आई विल नॉट फाइट विद दी. ओके, फर्स्ट टाइम कब मना किया था? आउट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस. Okay, that yeah, I will not fight with you because I don't want to, just because he wanted to pretend कि एक और blood मेरे हाथ में लग जाएगा, so I don't want to fight with you, right? Here he is not fighting because he's scared now, right? He says, I will not fight with you. Macduff says, then yield the coward. Macduff says, fine, if you don't want to fight with me, then you better surrender. Okay, yield means surrender. Then you better surrender the coward and live to be the show and gaze of the time. And I will treat you like an entertainment. Okay, I will treat you like an exhibit. What happens in the exhibition, that you display things over there so that people can come and see. So he says, okay, fine, if you don't want to fight with me, then surrender. But जब तुम surrender करोगे, I will treat you like an exhibit. I will display you in front of people. Okay, show and gaze of the time. We will have thee as our rarer monsters are. I am going to treat you like rare monsters are displayed in front of people, something which is very rare, antique, unique. What do? They display it in front of people. Painted on a pole, and under it, here you may see the tyrant. I will paint you on the pole, and uske niche kya likhunga? Here you may see the tyrant. This is how I'm going to treat you. Macbeth does not want that. Okay, so he says, I will not yield, to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet. So he says, I will not surrender. Why should I surrender? To just to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet. Usko pata hai that if he gets defeated, who is going to become the king? Malcolm is going to become the king. So he says, I am not going to kiss his feet. I am not going to be his slave, number one, and be baited with the rabble's curse. Baited means I am not going to get cursed by the rabble. Rabble means crowd. Rabble means people, public. So he says, no, that's not something which is acceptable to me. Okay. Though Burnham would be come to Dunsinane, and thou opposed being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. Okay. So he says, although two of my hopes have got shattered, Burnham Wood has come to Dunsinane Hill, number one. Number two, he says that you have also opposed that you are not of a woman born, but still I will give it my last try. Okay, I will try for the very last time. Before my body, I throw my warlike shield. He says, this is my body, and here in front of my body, I'm keeping my shield. Shield means I'm ready to fight. You can come and attack me. Okay. Lay on Macduff, and damned be him that first cries. Lay on means you can attack. Why didn't he give up? Why didn't he give up, Rishit? Because he has just mentioned that usko ye accept nahi hai that he is going to serve Malcolm, that Malcolm is going to treat him like a slave. Number one. Number two reason, he is not accepting that he will be treated like a devil, like an exhibit in front of people. People are going to throw stones at him. They're going to curse him. They are going to, bait at him, attack him. Okay, so he says, ये दो चीजें मुझे मंजूर नहीं है. He says, I will not yield in front of you, right? So that is why he says, fine, I will not yield, but I will give it my last try. Before my body, I throw my warlike shield. Leon. Leon means you come and attack Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold enough. Damned be him means that person loses who first of all cries enough. Okay. So हम दोनों में से जो भी बोलेगा that okay, I give up, right? That person gets defeated, right? Macbeth and Macduff exit fighting, and Macbeth gets killed over here. Okay, so here आपका scene 8 is खत्म. Now यहाँ से आपका scene 9 starts, right? Anybody who has a problem, because we have finished already two scenes, scene 7 and scene 8. Anybody who has a problem till here? Tashu. Yes, Tashu.
Ma'am, why Macbeth decide to fight Macduff despite knowing that Macduff is not born of a woman?
Mm, which question? Okay, so here, yeah, I already told you, because when he comes to know, right? नहीं पहले वो decide नहीं करते that I'm going to fight with you. As soon as he comes to know that he was not born of a woman, like he was not naturally born of a woman, he says, I will not fight with thee. First of all, he is shocked. Okay, he says, these juggling fiends I will no more believe, because they have poltered with me in double sense. He feels very betrayed. He feels shocked at that point of time, right? He feels like he has been betrayed, right? But then he also says, I will not fight with you. Uska first reaction yahi tha, that I will not fight with you. Maybe because he's very scared at this point of time, because he can see his death right face to face. Okay, but wo to tab, when Macduff says, fine, if you don't want to fight, you surrender, you yield in front of me. Okay, but जब तुम सरेंडर करोगे तो आई एम ऑल्सो गोइंग टू टेल यू हाउ यू विल बी ट्रीटेड. You will be treated like an exhibit. Okay, you will be tied on a pole. I will paint your whole body, he says, and I will treat you like an exhibit. And उसके नीचे मैं ये भी लिखूंगा that here you may see the tyrant for the people to come and see. Okay, so that is not acceptable for Macbeth. He says ऐसा treatment, because Macbeth used to, he was something initially, right? He had that reputation, he had that honor, he was considered to be the greatest warrior, Bellona's bridegroom, Valor's minion, great Macbeth. तो उसका ऑनर इतना नीचे चला जाएगा, that was not acceptable for him. Okay, so he says yield करने से तो अच्छा I will fight with you. Okay, so that dishonor, that disrespect, that humiliation, embarrassment to serve Malcolm was not acceptable for him. That is why he decides to fight him. Okay, is it solved?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Any other? If you're having any doubt, you can ask. No? No, then let's proceed. Okay. Uh, okay. Yeah, so this is scene 9, and yeah. Right. So scene 9. Now Macbeth gets killed after this. Now, after Macbeth gets killed, you know very well, now we are reaching towards the last scene. This is the culmination. And so obviously this scene is again very important because this is the last scene of the play. So the like a wrap-up scene, okay? That what happens after Macbeth gets killed. Malcolm, I would the friends we miss were safe arrived. Now, Malcolm does not know that Macbeth has been killed. Okay. So he is in some other part of the battlefield. And what is he hoping and what is he anticipating and expecting? That he says, oh, I wish my friends arrive here safely as soon as possible. Okay. Seaward, some must go off, and yet by these I see so great a day as this is cheaply bought. Seward says, but it's a part and parcel of the battle that some soldiers must die. ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता that you are going for a war and all your soldiers will come back safely. So he is very practical. He says some must go off, some must die, and yet by these, but still he says this war was very cheap. What does he mean by cheaply bought? मतलब इतने ज्यादा soldiers हमें नहीं गंवाने पड़े. Though so not so many soldiers they died, right? So he says yeah, this was a very cheaply bought war. Okay, Malcolm, Macduff is missing and your noble son. Now Malcolm says that Macduff nahi hai, the Macduff can't be seen anywhere, and your noble son. Noble son here refers to young Seward, and you remember young Seward has already got killed. Okay, Ross. Now Ross is reporting, your son, my lord, has paid a soldier's debt. Ross always plays the role of a messenger. आप ऐसे याद रखो ना कि Ross was the one who reported that Lady Macduff has got slaughtered to Macduff. Okay, he was the one to report, come and report. And here also, he is the one to come and report that Seward ko that, okay, your son has got martyred, that he has got killed in the battlefield. He has paid a soldier's debt. He only lived but till he was a man. He says that, he only lived till he got an opportunity to prove his manhood in the battlefield. He got an opportunity to prove his bravery in the battlefield, the which no sooner had his prowess confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, the which no sooner had his prowess confirmed, and as soon as he showed his bravery in the battlefield. Prowess means his bravery, his courage, his capability, his potential. Okay, confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, but like a man he died. Unshrinking station means unshrinking position. He was not ready to accept defeat. Okay, shrink matlab when somebody gets defeated. Unshrinking means when a person is not willing to get defeated. Like I told you, Seward's son. Okay, so something was there in the bloodline. Okay, so he says that he fought with that unwavering courage and unwavering mettle in the battlefield. He was not ready to give up. Where he fought, but like a man, he died. He died like a man. He confronted him face to face. Seward, then he is dead. Ross, I and brought off the field. Ross says, yes, he's dead, and his body has been brought off the field. Your cause of sorrow must not be measured by his worth, for then it has no end. Very important line. So he says, if your sorrow is going to be equal to his worth, okay? If your sorrow is going to be equal to his honor, to his reputation, he says, your sorrow will have no end. because uske honor ka was no end, because uske worth ka was no end. Okay, so C word, had he his hurts before? Before means uska injury kahan tha? Where were the injuries on his body? Was it there in the front part of his body or somewhere else? Ross says I on the front. Okay, yes, it was there on the front. Why do you think Seward was asking this question? He wanted to know whether he confronted the enemy face to face या पीछे से अटैक किया उसको किसी ने. Okay, so Seward, why then God's soldier be he? Seward, he is a very great warrior. So he says, oh, I am satisfied now. Okay, he says, then definitely he has proven to be a God's soldier. Had I as many sons as I have hairs, I would not wish them to be a fairer death. So he says, if I had as many number of sons as I have hairs, hairs is an incorrect word, by the way. It's only hair. So as I have hair on my scalp, he says, I would not wish for a fairer death. Fairer means more justified death. He says this is the bravest way. This is the fairest way in which any soldier can die. Okay, so he says, even if I had as many sons as the hair on my scalp, I would not wish for a fairer death. Fairer means more justified death. And so his knell is knolled. Knell means his death is justified. He says, I have no regrets. I have no complaints. My son has died like a soldier, right? And I have nothing to complain. Okay. Malcolm, he is worth more sorrow, and that I will spend for him. Malcolm says that, we have to shed more tears upon his death, and that we will definitely do for him. Seward, he is worth no more. Seward says, no, ho gaya bas. Okay, nobody is going to cry for him now. Okay, they say he parted well and paid his score. So he says everybody is proud of him. He has parted well. He has paid his debts well and paid his score. Paid his score means he's done with his business over here on earth. He was there to play the role of a soldier, that he has played very well, and now he must be departed. His soul must rest in peace. And so God be with him. Here comes newer comfort. So he says, may God be with him, may his soul rest in peace. And तभी सीवर्ड देखता है वहां पर मैकडफ आ रहा है सामने से, carrying Macbeth's head upon his sword. So he says, वो देखो वहां से one more comfortable news is coming. Re-enter Macduff with Macbeth's head. Hail King, for so thou art. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. अच्छा, हेल किंग किसको बोल रहा होगा? हेल किंग बोल रहा है मैल्कम को देख के. Okay, because he already knows that Macbeth is killed. So who is supposed to be the new king here? The new king is supposed to be obviously Malcolm. So he says, hail king, because you are the new king now. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. Behold, behold means look at this, see, what am I holding? Where stands the usurper? Usurper means tyrant. किसका हेड है मेरे sword में? The tyrant's cursed head is there upon my sword. The time is free. We are all free now. I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl that speak my salutation in their minds. So he says that I can already see that you are surrounded by the most noble. Compassed means surrounded with the most noble men of our country. Pearl. Pearl means with the most precious soldiers and men of our country. And I can see that they are already speaking what I want to say. Okay. So जैसे उन्होंने देखा मैकडफ इज किल्ड, जितने भी लोगों ने मैकडफ को घेर रखा था, all of them who had surrounded Macduff, they were greeting him now. All hail King, all hail King of Scotland. So he says, I can already see that you are surrounded by the most noble men of our country, and they are already saying what I want to say. They are speaking my mind. And what are they speaking? All hail King of Scotland, whose voices I desire, aloud with mine. So he says, I'm going to join them to say, hail King of Scotland. Okay, all hail King of Scotland. Now, this is the last dialogue of Malcolm, very important. Trumpet sound, so there is alarum, trumpet, okay, and just how a new king is supposed to be treated. Okay, so Malcolm, we shall not spend a large expense of time before we reckon with our several loves. Reckon ka matlab hota hai to reconcile, to get reunited with the ones you love. Okay, so he says, now we shall not spend much time before we get reckoned and reconciled with the ones we love. So he says time of separation is over, he says. Okay, that the difficult time, troublesome time is already done with. We are over with that time, and not a lot of time is left, much of time is left before we reconcile and reckon with our loved ones. Okay, and make us even with you. Make us even with you means till we, justify all the matters. Jo kuch bhi kharab ho gaya tha, we have to even it out now. Okay, my thanes and kinsmen henceforth be earls. Acha. Earl was a designation, a position given to the soldiers, given to the noblemen. Just we noticed that there was this one title which has been named in the play Thane, Thane of Fife, Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, right? So he says, I am going to I am going to establish one more position. And what is that position? Earl. Okay. कोई भी नया किंग जब पावर में आता है तो उसको लगता है ना कि हाँ मुझे कुछ ऐसा क्या नया करूं कि आई शुड बी लव्ड बाय द पीपल, राइट? So Malcolm is a new king now, and he was thinking that what should I do that I create that impression in the very first go. So he is like, okay, I am announcing it right now that my thanes and kinsmen from now onwards will be called as earls. Okay, the first that ever Scotland in such an honor named. वो बता भी रहा है कि ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ था, right? The first that ever Scotland has ever named any honor like this. Okay, never did any king before has named such a position like this. He says, I am the first one. Okay, what's more to do? He says, or मैं क्या करूँगा? Listen to me. Which would be planned newly with the time. He says, I am going to plan new things with the right coming of the time. Okay, as calling home our exile. और वो क्या क्या चीजें होंगी? Like, for example, he says, calling home our exiled friends abroad. Very important. Exiled means somebody who must have been banished by Macbeth. Okay, so all their friends जिन्होंने या तो स्कॉटलैंड जानबूझ के छोड़ दिया या फिर उनको निकाला गया, बैनिश किया गया, एग्जाइल में भेज दिया गया. ओके, सो ही सेज आई एम गोइंग टू कॉल ऑल दोस फ्रेंड्स बैक from abroad, okay, that fled the snares of watchful tyranny, and even those who ran away just because they did not want to serve Macbeth. Okay, they fled. Fled means they ran away. The snares means the cover, okay, of watchful tyranny. Tyranny means Macbeth. Those who did not want to be um, under his surrounding, right? Producing forth the cruel ministers. Acha. Now he says, I am going to punish the enemies also. All the cruel ministers who supported Macbeth and his queen. Okay, जो फ्रेंड्स हैं जो चले गए, जिसको बैनिश कर दिया गया, those who fled Scotland just because they did not want to be under Macbeth, I'm going to call them back. And the ministers who supported Macbeth, the ministers who helped Macbeth, I am going to produce them and punish them. Okay, find them and punish them. Cruel ministers of his dead butcher, कौन है ये? Macbeth, and his fiend like queen. Fiend means, fiend is like an enemy, evil, like queen, who, as it is thought, by self and violent hands took off her life. इसमें आ जाओ जरा आप जरा. We all have learned that Lady Macbeth is already dead. Okay, it was reported that Lady Macbeth is dead. Reason नहीं बताया गया था. Nobody had told us the reason, right? Here, Malcolm is making it very clear. He says that we are hearing, there is rumor which is circulating that she killed her own self. And this is what I told you in the classes also, that though reasons, that that it is still a rumor, right? It is not a confirmed news. Who it is thought. It is thought का क्या मतलब होता है? That it is believed. It's not a confirmed news. It's a rumor. I think I have discussed this in the class also, offline classes many a times, that there would be two guessworks over here. One guesswork would be that she died because she was severely ill. Okay, she was suffering from a mental trauma, and even the doctor had given up. If you remember, the doctor had said, "मैं नहीं help कर सकता. She will be helped by the divine power now. Only God can help her out." So maybe that is the reason that she died. Okay, she succumbed to her trauma and her disturbance. Okay, mental disturbance. Second, as the people are talking about, that she might have killed herself. Maybe she was so disturbed and agonized that she committed suicide. Okay, so iska there is no direct answer which has been given. यहाँ पर भी it is speculative. Okay, speculative means it is believed, it's a rumor still. Okay, by self and violent hands took off her life. This and what needful else that calls upon us by the grace of grace. So he says, Ye karunga, and iske alawa bhi whatever needs to be done, I will do it by the grace of grace, by the grace of God. Okay, we will perform in measure, time, and place. We will perform in perfect time and place. When in the perfect time, in the perfect place, I will do whatever needs to be done. So thanks to all at once and to each one whom we invite to see us crowned at Scone. Scone is that place where all the new kings of Scotland are crowned. Act 2 में when Macbeth assassinated King Duncan, and when he was supposed to be crowned, this was the place. Place same था, Scone में ही उसका coronation हुआ था. Okay, and now even Malcolm is going to be crowned at the same place. Okay, so I'm gonna just list out all these points which Malcolm is saying over here. So he says that first of all, what are we going to do? We are going to reckon. Reckon means reconcile with our loved ones. Number one, make us even with you. Even with you means whatever needs to be done to even out the odds, I will do it. Third, my thanes and kinsmen henceforth be earls, the first that ever Scotland in such an honor named. From now onwards, my thanes and kinsmen will be called as earls, right? And this has happened. This will be happening for the very first time in Scotland. Okay. Next, he says that I will call home all my exiled friends abroad, right? That fled the snares of watchful tyranny. All my friends who had to run away from Scotland just because they wanted to escape the tyrant, I will call them back. Produce forth the cruel ministers. I will also find out who these cruel ministers were who supported Macbeth. Macbeth को Macbeth नहीं बोल रहा है, dead butcher. Okay, dead butcher and his fiend like queen. Okay, so whosoever supported them, I will find them out and I will punish them, reprimand them. Who, as it is thought by self and violent means, and there's a speculation also that it is believed that she killed herself by self and violent means, that she killed herself in a very violent way, took off her life. This and what needful else, and this and whatever else needs to be done by the grace of grace. Grace of grace means by the grace of God, will perform and measure time and place, will perform in perfect time and place. And so he is full of gratitude for all the people who are going to come and see him crowned at Scone. Okay, the end. Any questions? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Is it clear to all of you? Clear to all of you? At least give a thumbs up. You people are mute like anything. Yes? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Now I have another class to start, and I will give you the important questions. I will start with the poetry section from tomorrow. The first poem which we are going to take is telephone conversation. Difficult. Many students have a problem. That is why I am giving it priority. Okay. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, all of you, and I take care.